When anyone thinks of a person who's been in jail or incarcerated, our mind drifts into negativity and tend to think that they're all bad people. Now, one thing we don't focus on is people who have served time, have bad felon names under their records, that actually have been innocent. So according to History.com, in 1989, these 5 young men were convicted of a rape. At the time, they were young teenagers at the time. They were beaten, held under hostage, manipulated to forcibly confess a crime they didn't commit. Now, the Central Park 5 story implies that there was really no justice for these young men until 2002, when Matthew Reyes had came forward about the rape and came clean. So in 2002, when these 5 men were released, they were given apologies, they were given millions of dollars from the government to show that, they were sorry for what had happened to them. But all the money that they have received is never going to estimate to the lifetime that they can never get back. Now, this is an example of unfought justice that could have been dealt with if prisoners were allowed to vote. Now, furthermore, I have been researching articles, stories, and a greater depth into our amendments and rights to show the understanding of why everyone has the right to citizenship granted to vote, even incarcerated. Although we may look at criminals and think that they're all bad, but just because they wear an orange jumpsuit does not mean they can't imply their word for their own country by voting. Now, today I will be revealing the reasons why people incarcerated should have the right to vote. However, I will be discussing the innocence of those who are incarcerated. First, extrapolating the 281 known DNA explorations in the United States. According to the Innocence Project, from 1980s to 2020, 20,000 people have been falsely convicted of crimes that they didn't commit. Also, connecting with the Central Park 5 story, this also applies for this young man named Timothy Cole. Now, Timothy Cole was a student back in 1985 at Texas Tech University. He was accused of raping a girl at the university. When he was accused, he was sentenced to 25 years in prison and also lost all of his scholarships. So due to that, later, about 14 years later in prison, he unfortunately died of asthma complications in 1999. Now, later on, Jerry Wayne Johnson in 2008 was in jail for multiple rapes, and they figured out that his DNA was connected to Timothy Cole's case. Now, this reveals a system in which an innocent man had no redemption. His life could have been saved if they knew he was innocent, and by that, prisoners should be allowed to vote and have their own word and fight for the things that they need to fight for. This is for thousands of Americans spending years of lives in captivity for crimes they didn't commit. Now, furthermore, I will be revealing the rights from the United States Constitution in a deeper depth into our injustice perspective. Now, the Legal Information Institute states in the 15th Amendment that any citizens of the United States votes shall not be denied the right to vote by race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Also, the Legal Information Institute states in the 14th Amendment that all persons born or nationalized in the United States shall be granted equal protection and equal rights. These rights are necessary to discuss in my argument because not only some prisoners are innocent, and I'm not here to tell you that all of them are innocent, but I'm here to tell you that every citizen in America that is in jail is a citizen, and they have the rights to imply their word for their own country by voting. And that should never be taken away. So finally, I will be showing you the stats of the voting system and how it affects our democracy negatively. Now, our voter turnout, according to the Pew Research Center, noted that we're among the lowest voter turnout in the developed world. According to all these 15, we're about the top 4, the lowest. So roughly 43% of eligible voters didn't even bother filling out the ballot that year, according to the Elections Project. Also, the Election Project's organization stated that about 232 million people were eligible to vote and only 132 million did. That means 100 million people who decided they just didn't want to vote in 2016. That's 100 million votes that we lost to show our true democracy. Now, this also ties along with how much people who are actually serving time in jail. According to the United States Department of Justice, there are 2.3 million people that are held in captivity today. Also, there's 1,713 prisons, 109 federal prisons, 1,772 juvenile facilities, 3,163 local jails, and also military prisons. Now, these big numbers of people who are in jail today can impact into the voting system. These prisoners have a closer perspective on the justice system since they're fighting it every single day. Votes can have a change into our democracy and our world. Now, in conclusion, there are many valid reasons why people who serve time in jail and in jail, they have a word and the right into voting. They have rights that should be recognized and a word into the corrupt system, and they should know what's going on in the world since they always have a lash into breaking into it all the time. Now, everyone is equal even if there's mistakes behind it. So let's have a true democracy and a better voter system turnout. In jail or not, everyone has the right to vote. Thank you.